BYU is in the midst of mowing down the Pac-12. They've got an interesting one coming up at home against Arizona State this Saturday. We got Mitch Harper on the line from KSLSports.com to help us break it down. Follow Mitch on Twitter. You can follow him to all of his various platforms and podcasts. Mitch, how you doing today?
Doing great, Mark. Happy to be on with you.
Absolutely. Good to see you. And, man, this BYU team, of course, took on a patchwork schedule last year, put it together in fine fashion for an 11-1 finish and a big bowl victory against UCF. Zach Wilson heads off to the NFL. So first and foremost, an update on Jaren Hall and how he's adapting to the starting role.
He's done great. Being the successor to Zach Wilson, I think many people nationally thought BYU was going to revert back to 6-7 win seasons. I think they were sorely mistaken because Jaren Hall, he's had so much time with Aaron Roderick, the offensive coordinator. Since 2018, he's been around the program, and he's just absorbed the playbook. He understands Aaron Roderick completely, and he hasn't made any mistakes. So you're seeing now BYU 2-0, trending upward, and once again in the national conversation.
Yeah, 5 touchdowns, no picks through the first 2 games. The Arizona effort, not necessarily a surprise because the Wildcats obviously way down, but then to come out against Utah, a team that many people liked to win the Pac-12, and that remains to be seen, in 9 consecutive wins in the series. So the Holy War triumph over the Utes may be bigger than even most years.
Yeah, that was a huge win for BYU. That was one that they had to have, because Utah had just been such a big hurdle for BYU. And Jaren Hall was a cool customer. He showed off the feet. He's a better athlete than Zach Wilson running out of the pocket. Not as good of arm strength as Zach, but he's improved significantly in his arm strength, and he was definitely the biggest arm coming out of fall camp for BYU. And it's one of the reasons why he was named quarterback 1. He's working with the same trainer, John Beck, down at 3D QB, and he's evolved quite a bit, and he's got a command of this offense. He's a quiet guy. He's not going to be very vocal, but he's a leader already of this BYU program, and they feel confident right now. They've won, 13 of their last 14 games, and the one loss was by a yard against Coastal Carolina on 48 hours notice. So BYU is a confident program at the moment, and Jaren Hall exudes that.
Folks, please like the video, share these videos out on social media, because if you enjoy the content, others will as well. Follow Mitch on his various platforms, as you see there prominently on the banner. Most of all, KSLSports.com. Tyler Algiere, for anybody tracking running back top 10 lists, top 25 lists during the offseason, he figured in prominently. He seems to be off to a solid start at 4.5 yards per carry and almost 100 yards per game as well.
Yeah, Algiere's a heck of a running back. I think he's a future NFL player next season. Finally got a big workload last week against Utah. First time in his BYU career that he goes over 20 carries. He had 27 carries, and BYU takes down Utah. So I don't think it was a coincidence that they were able to establish the run and get that victory over the Utes. And yeah, he's got great vision. He invites contact, but he's got top end speed that would surprise you based on his size. So yeah, I think he's definitely a top 10 running back in college football. If he gets the volume, he's going to put up some big numbers this year.
Considering the win against Utah was mighty impressive from a physical standpoint, that's always a physical contest against a team that prides itself on that type of big boy football, and to get that kind of decisive win. The game on the scoreboard was in doubt till fairly late, but for anybody watching the game, it was definitely BYU that was the team in the driver's seat and control of the game for most of the way. Now a showdown against Arizona State. Take us through the defense in regards to a unit that's been this successful against 2 Pac-12 opponents and that physical up front to deal with the Utah team and win most of those battles.
It's a very multiple defense. They use a lot of 4-down linemen this year. Last year, they used a lot of 3-down guys, but they've had a lot more success getting to the quarterback. You're seeing more blitzes because of the improved talent in the secondary. They feel like they being Kalani Sitake and defensive coordinator Elisa Tuiaki, they feel like they've got the best secondary in terms of depth that they've had since they stepped into the program in 2016. So they're getting a little bit more aggressive. That's not just the base drop 8 defense that maybe you saw 2 years ago when BYU beat the likes of Tennessee and USC. So you're seeing an aggressive group. It's anchored too by some standout linebackers and Peyton Wilgar, who's on the Butkus Award watch list, and Keenan Peely, who's a tackling machine, had 17 tackles in week 1 against Arizona. So BYU likes their personnel. They had a quiet confidence coming out of camp about their defensive line. And after dominating up front against a Utah offensive line that was considered by some to be a top 10 offensive line coming into the season, there's a lot of confidence now. And the guy to keep an eye on the defensive line is Tyler Batty, a defensive end. He's only a freshman, but he signed at BYU in 2016 with the COVID year, with a gray shirt, with a mission. It highlights the unique nature of BYU and their eligibility, but he's someone that's got NFL potential. And Earl Tuioti Mariners, one of the better pass rushers on the interior of the line for BYU. So it's a confident group right now.
BYU and Arizona State, what a matchup. Top 25 teams coming up this Saturday. Anything in particular with all the positives on both sides of the football that may be a needed improvement to notch another win?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see how BYU fares against Arizona State, who's, I think, by far the best team that BYU will have faced to this point. Jaden Daniels, especially at quarterback, far better than Charlie Brewer. Charlie Brewer was a guy coming in with Utah that he was regressing with Baylor, and he was good as a freshman and sophomore, but you kind of saw why he's on the downward slide a little bit in that loss against BYU. Jaden Daniels is going to be a different animal, so it's a far tougher task in terms of, I think, speed at the perimeter too. The skill position talent at ASU is some of the best. I think BYU is going to say this is going to be the best team BYU faces this year. So if they can get this win, I think it sets the table potentially for BYU to be in the mix like they were last year, where you're talking about them maybe as a New Year's Six team. Maybe they're in the college football playoff rankings. Lots on the line for BYU in this game against ASU. So I think it's the toughest test to date, and I think it's going to end up being the toughest test this year because I think ASU is the best team in the Pac-12 South.
Got Mitch Harper on the line talking up BYU with the date against Arizona State, a big one amongst top 25 teams. You see the various platforms you can catch Mitch in regards, in addition to KSLMsports.com. The big news, obviously, is now about 10 days old. BYU and others, UCF, Cincinnati, and who am I missing? Houston to the Big 12. We've talked in previous years about the unique place that BYU holds in college football and the national brand from coast to coast. Your thoughts about why this makes sense for BYU and why BYU brings value to the Big 12?
Makes sense for BYU because it's Power 5 affiliation, and BYU has always been dreaming of that. They've been playing football since 1922, and really they've never been invited into a conference. They've always formed conferences, whether it be the WAC or the Mountain West. This is now finally that validation that they belong, and I think it's going to be a good league, and it's exciting for BYU too because they're going into a league that is kind of fits the BYU DNA, where they will have a chip on the shoulder, still looking to prove themselves despite being in the power structure of college athletics. So it's an exciting time for BYU. And I think as far as the value goes, you're bringing a national, maybe international fan base, which it's real. BYU will go to the likes of Stillwater, they'll go to Ames, and people in those fan bases, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, and the whole Big 12, they'll look around and go, how in the world is there 10, 15,000 BYU fans here? It is a national following. They got a strong presence in the state of Texas. And you got to think, too, this national following was built in leagues like the WAC and the Mountain West. It's only going to be taken to a higher level being in a Power 5 league. This fan base is going to be more interjected than ever before. And if you're talking about streaming being the future of college athletics and signing up for the likes of Paramount Plus, Peacock, whatever it may be, this is going to be a fan base that's going to sign up to watch BYU any chance they can get. So that's why I think BYU is desirable for the Big 12 Conference. And I think that it doesn't hurt, too, that I think since Kalani Sitake took over, this has been a program that's trending up on the field. Now, I know on-field results don't always matter in these type of decisions, but I think it played a part for BYU coming off an 11-1 season. They're 4-1 in their last 5 games against Power 5 competition. BYU is playing at a high level, and when they get to the Big 12 Conference in 2023, they're not going to be punching above their weight. They're going to feel like those are their equals. What they've been doing as an independent program since 2011, playing anywhere from 5 to 8 Power 5 teams a year. This is what BYU does. This is what they've always wanted to do. And now they'll have the windfall of resources to take it to a higher level.
BYU to the Big 12. BYU center stage with Arizona State. And if they can win this game to go with 3-0 with 2 substantial wins, then look out from there. As Mitch says, it appears as though Arizona State would be the best team on the schedule and probably Utah second, and they've already crossed that hurdle. Mitch, we appreciate you stopping by to break down BYU. It should be mighty intriguing come Saturday night.
No problem. Happy to help.